West Ham head into the second leg of our Europa League last 16 tie with Sevilla facing a 1-0 deficit on aggregate. Ahead of Thursday's game at the London Stadium, West Ham sit in 6th position in the Premier League, while Sevilla are second in La Liga. Sevilla have been far from impressive since the middle of January, and their 4 wins from 12 matches in all competitions being recorded on home territory. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. It is Europa League time. I had a chance to briefly speak to Tommy beforehand, and we were just talking about, are we buzzing? Because I'm buzzing with life about this game tomorrow and how important it is. Tommy, mate. Tommy. Your brief thoughts on how you're feeling about the head of tomorrow?
I'm feeling surprisingly calm, actually. I thought maybe I'd be a lot more nervous than I am. But I'm actually quietly confident that we're going to do a job tomorrow on Sevilla. I hope it won't make a fool of me, but I just have a quiet confidence, because I think that place is going to be absolutely rocking tomorrow evening. It's going to be absolutely 60,000 West Ham fans, unbelievable noise, bubbles flying everywhere, and I think the players are going to be really up for this tomorrow. I think they're confident that they can do a job too, actually, and I just feel like somehow, some way, we're just going to get over the line.
Yeah, it's going down. You know, when we've been doing loads of videos this week, we've been talking about this being one of the most important games in the last couple of decades, in particular over the last 16 years since the FA Cup final. Is it that level, Tommy? Are we talking about that level right now? Is this one of the biggest games in West Ham's modern history?
I wouldn't put it as big as the FA Cup final in 2006, but it's probably the biggest game since. Yeah, the FA Cup final, I remember that day. I mean, the buzz was just unbelievable. I mean, you know, you've got that build-up from like way before the game, and you're seeing all the fans and the celebrities that follow West Ham kind of making their way to Cardiff, and the buzz, I remember, for that was absolutely unbelievable. So I don't think this is up there with that. But it's, for me, yeah, I think it's our biggest game since. Now, obviously, look, we've had some couple of playoff finals since then. We all remember the Matchday goal, and they're obviously huge for us, you know, getting back in the Premier League. But yeah, I think since the FA Cup final 2006, for me, this is the biggest game, I think, you know, and I suppose it's because it's so novel for us.
Yeah,
you know, we've kind of dreamed for so long about seeing West Ham in a big European game midweek under the lights, you know, against you know, a really good team with a name, and Sevilla do, in fairness to them, as regards this competition. You know, it doesn't come any bigger than Sevilla in Europa League. You know, they're the kings of the competition. So this is what we've been waiting for so long, and I'm absolutely buzzing for it. So yeah, I think it's the biggest since 2006 for me, anyway.
Matt, how are you feeling, mate? How are you feeling? You've been missing for a while over the past couple of weeks, but you're back on the match previews. I mean, you'll be at the game tomorrow. Talk to me about your kind of feelings going into it.
I'm nervous, but it's a good nervous. I think, yeah, it is absolutely a massive game. I'd definitely say maybe the biggest game in the decade. I think, yeah, if you go back to that playoff final, it's up with that levels. You know, obviously the playoff final was in terms of Premier League financial stability, but this is, are we at the point where we're ready to push on? You know, even if we win this, say we win tomorrow and then lost in the quarterfinals, the stature of the wholes, then of the club as a whole, was put on that European map of, look, this is one of them new upcoming European teams.
Yeah.
So yeah, and obviously the intent and the statement of being, like you said, it is the kings of the Europa League. You know, you take them as a scalp. I mean, I think I've read they've lost once outside of Spain in a Europa League game in about 11 years. So it really
I was just about to
tell you where we are.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it probably brings us on to the time of the show where we talk about the opposition. So it is time to. We're not going to go in too much in depth, but we will talk about Sevilla a little bit. So let's talk about the opposition. So Sevilla have not lost in England since suffering a 2-0 defeat against Leicester City in the last 16 of the Champions League. Almost 5 years to the day. I think that's what you were maybe referencing there, Matt. But we all know what quality they have within that team, especially after witnessing the game last week about how their kind of build-up play from the back. You know, Tommy, you were on with us and we had the Sevilla correspondent who everything he said really was true. You know, they built from the back. They had patient build-up play. They hold a lot of possession. Matt, our first question to you really is about the Sevilla team and what you thought of them and what you think of them going into the game tomorrow, especially playing away from home.
I wasn't surprised with what I saw the first game. I mean, look, I know that, so should we say the quote-unquote big teams in Spain have been ravaged by financial fair play the last 2 years, but Sevilla was second in the league. All right, they might be 8 points off Real Madrid, but that still puts them in front of Atletico Madrid and Barcelona.
Yeah.
You know, I cultivated, experienced European team. The only thing, and I would say that I was actually, you never want to lose, but given away goals don't count this year, for some reason they decided to bin them off. A 1-0 loss away from home against a team that hasn't travelled particularly well this season, especially in Europe, isn't a bad result.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you want to talk about Seville quickly, I mean, I don't think they'd have actually qualified had they been in our group. As weird as it sounds. You know, I mean, they only got 6 points, I think, in their Champions League group. And they got 1 win and 3 draws. They struggled. Champions League is obviously better competition. But you know what you're going to get. I mean, it's a typical Spanish, attacking team. I mean, Simeone Atletico does go against the mold with his very defensive tactics, but we know a lot of diving and rolling and gamesmanship goes on in European teams, but expected it to be attacking open game, and that's sort of what they brought forward.
Yeah.
But again, the 1-0 probably, they'd probably be upset with it for the 1-0.
Yeah.
Because it leaves the game wide open.
And it really, really does. Tommy, we've got another guest coming on literally in a second, but it really does leave the tie completely wide open. A couple of players, though, I mean, what did you think of some of the players from Sevilla, Tommy, in terms of matching up against the West Ham players?
Well, obviously, there's going to be some players tomorrow evening that we didn't see in the first leg, and there's going to be a couple of players out, actually, importantly, I think, that did play really well. Acuna, I thought, was their best player, actually. I thought he was their man of the match in the first leg, and he won't be playing tomorrow night. And because of his yellow card, when Declan Rice tried to pull one of their players off the floor, Ocampo came and got involved and got himself yellow carded, which puts him out of the second leg. And I thought he had a really great game against us as well. There were Ocampos, there he is. I thought he had a really great game. So two of probably their best performers on the night in the first leg won't be there tomorrow night, and that's got to be a help. But obviously, look, they're going to have Rakitic in there now. Delaney's going to be back in there. Martial will probably start this one. He'll be fit enough to start. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts. They're down a couple of players that had a really great first leg, but they've also got some quality players who are coming back into the side. Thankfully, their centre back Carlos is not going to be available again for them tomorrow. And he's an excellent centre back, and it's going to be
Yeah.
good for us that he's missing. And whoever plays up top for us, I think has to. I can't remember how to pronounce the guy's name that replaced him, but I think whoever is playing up top for us needs to be pulling onto him and badgering him all night, because he is a backup. Even though he's a decent player, he's not Carlos. He's not going to be as good. So I think there's some promising things there, but also obviously some very good players coming back in for them as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me bring on our next guest, though. Some of you may know him, some of you may not know him, but over the last week, he's been all over the media outlets, Sky Sports, you name it. I've seen you everywhere, Roisin. Thank you for joining us tonight. Roisin, you're from The Athletic, that's right. If you don't mind giving everyone a bit of an explanation of your background, all that sort of stuff, if that's okay, mate. Oh, you're muted. I can't hear you. No. Oh, no. No, still not. Maybe if you jump out the link and then you can come back in, unless you're plugging them in. I'll bring you back in once you're set up if you want, yeah? We'll get Roisin back in there and get him sorted. Let's see if this is going to work now. No, not yet. I'll jump out. Yeah, cool. So yeah, the joys of technology, absolutely. But you've mentioned there a couple of players that are going to be missing, but one player that is coming back into the squad is probably their most, feared player, you could technically say. Matt, what's your thoughts on Rakitic?
Seasoned pro, been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Pocketed by Rice.
I just want to confirm, Roisin, can you hear us now?
Yep, can you hear me?
Oh, we've got you now, mate. We've got you now.
Fantastic. I apologize for the glitch. A Millwall fan was behind that glitch, so
No, good man. Roisin, if you don't mind letting everyone know where you're from, so everyone can kind of build up their kind of story, if those you can say.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I cover West Ham for The Athletic. For those of you who don't know what The Athletic is, we're sort of similar to ESPN, but the UK version. So I covered the first team home and away, covered the under-23s, and occasionally the under-18s. So yeah, everything West Ham, really.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you for joining us. I know you're a very busy man, and we did see you all over the media outlets, etc. in the Seville trip. How was the Seville trip? I mean, I was fortunately on the way and then couldn't go in the end, so I was a bit gutted. Yeah. But a good away day as a fan and as a reporter, etc.
It was amazing. I miss it. I miss it now, pal. Honestly, it was so good. This time last week, myself and other West Ham fans in the sun, wearing t-shirt, shorts, sunglasses, just enjoying the atmosphere. And now we're back in rainy London or Essex, wherever everyone else is based. But you know what? It was such a great trip. It really was. I travelled on the Tuesday, 2 days prior to the game, and it was such a great atmosphere being with other West Ham fans, just enjoying the trip, really. And you know what? You know about We've Got Super David Moyes chant?
Yeah.
I've heard that chant so much, I've started singing it in the shower. I heard the chant so much, honestly. Like, you get West Ham fans who were drunk and they're like, "Oh, we've got Super David Moyes." Like, I'm telling you, it was an incredible trip. It really was.
So, obviously by being there as well and kind of being in the role that you're in, you kind of get you kind of build up a really strong opinion on the opposition, and obviously you follow West Ham week in and week out. Your opinion on how West Ham faced up to Sevilla in Seville, but how you think that Sevilla are going to travel in London and kind of set up against West Ham in London tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, I'll first reflect on the first leg. I thought it was a case of deja vu, really. Created quite a few chances, but unfortunately we weren't able to pull it away. So my mind goes back to Vlasic. He should have scored that header. Also, Mikel Antonio missed the rebound. And then Manuel Lanzini, his shot was blocked. Perhaps another day that would have gone in. So it was a case of deja vu, because you cast your mind back to Southampton, didn't take our chances. Liverpool as well, didn't take our chances. So I thought on the whole, in the first half, we played quite well. Not even quite well, we played really good. Played some really good football, played a lot of confidence. And in the second half, we sat back a little bit until Benrahma came on, and we started to look positive again in terms of our attacking play. And then, yeah, unfortunately, we suffered that 1-0 loss. And I'm still of the opinion that 1-0 loss, well, the goal we conceded prior to it was down to Fornals, in my opinion, because He gave away possession before Kazima got booked. And you won't see it on TV, but from where I was in the press box, Moyes was shouting out for now to track back Jesus Navas, it was like tracking back. He's in acres of space, and then unfortunately was able to do on Seville score a really good set piece goal. So that's my thoughts on the first leg. In terms of the second leg, they very well know what's hit them in the second leg. I'm telling you, very well know what's hit them in the second leg. I spoke to John Monk earlier because I was doing a piece on previous historic comebacks for West Ham. So some will remember, let's say, the 5-4 win against Bradford when West Ham were 4-2 down. Some will, in terms of Moyes being in charge, the 3-3 draw against Tottenham. Some remember the last game at Upton Park, we were 2-1 down, 1-3-2 thanks to goals from Antonio, Winston Reid. Some will remember that season we got relegated to 3-0, being 3-0 down against West Brom at half-time, and then drawing 3-3. So there's been a number, and the most famous one of all, losing the first leg against Ipswich, and then winning 2-0 in the second leg, and then obviously getting through to playoff final, championship playoff final, that is. So there's been historic comebacks for West Ham. And it's just a piece saying, look, we've done it before, no reason why they can't do it again. I'm looking forward to the game for the simple fact the atmosphere is going to be incredible. I reckon it'll be the best home game since we moved to the stadium, in my opinion. It'll be that good. Everyone's going to be, just wanting West Ham to do well, really. So hopefully we see that in terms of performance tomorrow.
And I think, to be honest, that the key part is we saw how good the Sevilla fans are on their home. We're not denying remotely. I mean, their stadium's a fantastic stadium. They're a great club. They've got great fans. But we all know as West Ham fans what we're capable of doing on the day at the London Stadium. Because when we get the roar around that London Stadium, the sound travels and it can be really, really rupturous in that stadium. But Tommy, as a fan, being at home in such a big tie, how much of a part to play do the fans have for the game tomorrow?
Fans have a huge role to play tomorrow, and I think they'll step up to the plate. I think they're going to create an unbelievable atmosphere, even from before the game. Once that stadium fills up, 60,000 hammers in there, the bubbles flying, the songs, the chants, pretty bubbles in the air, all that. I think it's really going to energize the players. I think there's no roof on it, obviously, in the stadium, but if there were, I think the fans would lift it off tomorrow. Fans are going to be right up for this. They understand the important role that they have to play for the players, to really get behind them and G up the players, get them really up for it, get them in the right mood to go out and have a right go at Sevilla. So, yeah, the fans absolutely have a part to play, but especially I think if there's a period in the game where things are maybe not going our way, if it does come down to that, like say if we concede and we go 1-0 down, I think the fans have to make sure, if something like that were to happen, or if we go 1-0 up and then they equalize or something like that, the fans have to make sure that they don't allow that to make them quiet and nervy and tense, because that will translate onto the pitch. I think the fans have to no matter what's happening on the pitch, the fans have to keep that energy and keep the players up, keep those players going and pushing, and keep them believing. So if the fans keep that belief and that energy, no matter what's happening, then I think that really will help the players. And we've seen, what sport is like. I mean, as Roshane was just saying, we've been in situations before where things didn't look good. I mean, for Christ's sake, when at Tottenham away last season, 80th minute, we were 3-0 down. I mean, if you want to talk about hopeless, I mean, that looks hopeless. But we still took a draw out of that. We scored 3 goals, so it's just to not give up. Don't give up on the players. Don't give up on the team. Don't ever feel like it's over, even if things aren't going perfectly to plan. And so I think the fans have a huge role to play tomorrow, especially if something goes against us.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, when it comes to obviously the game tomorrow, we're on home turf, etc. We saw what Sevilla are capable of. I kind of emulate what the guys are saying there. We don't want to concede early because we know that that's not a great position to be in for any team, and it's key that the fans get behind it. But we're going on to a couple of players from Sevilla and players we know really well. Anthony Martial, we're kind of hearing bits and bobs that he may be and probably will start the game tomorrow. He knows the Premier League well. He knows West Ham really well. What's your thoughts on Martial? And then we'll come back to you, Shane, about it as well.
He's just, he's one guy I didn't want to see. He's one of these players, isn't he? He's one of these players that, especially in the mold of like these big 16s where they bring in these players and they have like a ton of potential, world at their feet. Something happens, they don't quite get it. They don't quite get there. Something, throws them off course. However, they're also one of these players that always turns up when they play West Ham. Like they always. I think he's already played us twice this season. I think he was part of the team. I think he came off the bench in the league game last time we played. He might have played in the cup game earlier in the season when Man United won. It's one of
sorry,
players,
Matt.
We just don't like playing him.
Sorry to interrupt, Matt, but Martial, in his time in the Premier League, has only scored more goals against Southampton. Second most goals scored is against West Ham.
Yep. Thanks, Tommy. But, we're talking about Martial. They've got another striker in Esri. Rashane, West Ham were rumoured to be strongly linked to him, making bids for an Esri. He's not been firing on form this season. However, for me personally, what I saw in the first leg, I can actually see what potentially David Moyes saw in him. Apart from putting the ball in the back of the net, I thought he did. His movement in the box was really good, etc. He's another player we need to keep an eye on tomorrow as well. What do you think? And do you think he's the sort of player that we could be looking at genuinely come the summer?
Yeah, for sure. I'll start by Matt's point earlier on Martial. He's basically Glenn Murray in disguise. That's what Martial is. Glenn Murray used to always score against us, so he's Martial. He's not Glenn Murray in disguise. But yeah, in terms of Yusuf and Ezra, yeah, for sure, he had 3 shots on target, I believe, potentially 4 in the first leg. So he was very lively, and definitely a player that remains on the radar for West Ham. And we saw again in midweek, Darwin Núñez scored for Benfica, and he'd go to show why the club was so keen to sign him in January. But in terms of players that I'm afraid of ahead of the second leg, it's actually Rakitic. Him and Thomas Delaney, they're the two that I'm looking at in terms of midfield, because we've seen this season Declan Rice and Thomas Souček do okay occasionally, but not the same partnership of last season, for example. So for me, it's that midfield battle that's key tomorrow, because West Ham are great offensive firepower, whether it's Benrahma, Lanzini, for now starting to come in look a bit of form. Antonio Yarmolenko scored, he'll be full of confidence, but I'm looking at that midfield battle, and that'll be key. Whoever wins that will win the game tomorrow, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably about time we actually start getting on to the topic which we're all here for, which is West Ham. So let's go and have a little chat about our beloved West Ham. Now, Rashane, I've got, as part of doing the channel that we do, we tend to try and cover the press conference. We try and deliver the news of the press conference. So I'm assuming you are one of the lucky people to be able to attend the press conference, etc. So David Moyes has had he's been busy man, as he always is. You were obviously there today for the press conference. What did you take from it then? With all the news, with Bowen, Antonio, Creswell, Vlasic, you name it.
Well, I actually missed the presser earlier because it's no longer on Zoom, it's in person now. So I wasn't able to attend via presser, unfortunately, because I was, as I mentioned, I was doing the piece, speaking to former players to get their thoughts in the second leg. So I missed it. But in terms of what I've seen so far, I'm always optimistic. But what I will say, because I've been doing this for 2.5 years now for the Athletic, and there's been a few press conferences that's been really good. I'll start by saying, when Pellegrini was in charge, oh my goodness, the press conference, they were pointless. They're absolutely, it wasn't even worth. I remember once, right, I was running late, and I got an Uber all the way to Rush Green, and it was literally a waste of my money because Pellegrini was just useless. It wasn't charismatic, just very bland. And you're thinking, my goodness, this guy's in charge of West Ham here. No personality, no nothing. So that's what I'll say regarding Pellegrini. That's in the past now.
That is the past.
But you know what, right? The press conference last week ahead of the first leg, David Moyes was in top form. He really was. I came away from that press conference thinking, we are so lucky to have him in charge right now. Because when you think about how bad things were prior to his arrival to where it is now, obviously, people say you should have signed someone in January. we didn't miss opportunity potentially. But look, right now the club's in a great position. For me, right now it feels like Christmas Eve and tomorrow's Christmas Day. That's how it feels like in terms of this game, because I look at social media before I join the show and everyone's like, oh, buzzing for the game tomorrow. I can't wait. Anyone got any spare tickets? Like, how often have you said that about a West Ham game, especially at the London Stadium? It's just incredible to see. So, that press conference in particular was really good. He spoke about what's enabled to West Ham to get to this position, the likes of Jared Bowen, Declan Rice, Mikel Antonio doing so great for the club. Look, his coach staff playing a key role. And ultimately, Moyes feeling like he had the point to prove because, as you remember, he wasn't given a job he wasn't given an extended contract after his first spell in charge. Came back. A lot of fans are like, why on earth have we appointed this guy? And he completely transformed the club. So hopefully it's another great night tomorrow. Really hopeful.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, though, what we've learned, is from outsiders looking in the press conferences, that Moyes does do a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think he is definitely keeping a lot of things close to his chest as a boss, and that's a good thing. And I do like that. He does give us updates, but he still will never turn around and go, he's going to play, he's not going to play unless there's a guaranteed situation. So when it comes to the presser, obviously today I've managed to get some of the information. So he says, talking about Antonio and Creswell, he says they've done a little bit of light training. We're trying to find out if they are fit. We're trying to give them every opportunity to be fit, but they did not train with the team, but they did a little bit with the fitness coaches. We'll wait to assess them tomorrow to see how they are. I've not named the team, and I will probably not do that until late tomorrow to see how they are. Jared Bowen is not available and probably won't be available until the earliest after the international break. So based upon that, then, Roisin, I mean, is he going to take a risk on Antonio? Is he going to take a risk on Cressy? Based upon the fact they've not trained with the team?
Yeah, well, they are touch and goal for the time being, but I can see, especially Antonio Moyes taking a risk and be like, look, we need you. Like, it's the biggest game in 16 years. It's the FA Cup final. Yeah. So we need you big time. Cresswell, I can see Cresswell potentially not playing, but more so Mikel Antonio starting because, he's so key for us. With Cresswell, there's alternatives. You could play Ben Johnson left back, Fredericks, who's good offensively, maybe not so much defensively, playing potentially right back. But I could definitely see it being a game when we see Mick play because, it's so important for West Ham to have him on the field.
And Tommy, over to you, mate. With all the kind of potential injuries lining up, obviously we'll come on to other players in a minute, but it couldn't have come at a worse time. But hearing the news that they're at least training with the fitness coaches does give West Ham a bit of an injury boost, does it not?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it shows that at least they're not definitely out. It shows that one or both will have a chance, potentially to start, or at least to be well enough to be named on the bench to be used in case of emergency, as it were. I agree with Roisin. I think Moyes will risk Antonio if he can.
Yeah, he does. He does actually go on and talk a little bit more about it. He says, if he is not fully fit, I won't take a risk. He's not somebody I would do that with. Generally, if somebody isn't ready to play, then I won't use them. The but to that is that he is really important for different reasons. We needed Yarmolenko's quality to get us the goal the other day. We've been lacking that, but Mick plays in a different way for us, leads the line and brings other people into the game. We need Mick fully fit and firing, and I completely emulate what he's saying. And when I think back to the first leg, when there was a couple of opportunities when Antonio had the ball back to goal, he turned the Sevilla defender, and I think a couple of times the Sevilla defenders tried to wrestle him down, and they couldn't get anywhere near him. And that's the unpredictability that he can really cause. What's your thoughts on that one, Roisin?
Yeah, for sure. Is it Kundi, Jules Kundi, the defender you're referring to? Yeah. I saw that, especially in the first half. I saw that quite a few times. Like, listen, Kundi, this is a WWE. Like, behave yourself, young man. So I definitely remember that for sure. And again, I know sometimes Mikel gets criticised from fans for not scoring as many goals as he should do. But listen, his work rate is just incredible. It's all good and well saying because we should sign a 50 million striker, but not all 50 million strikers work as hard as Mikel Antonio. And as you touched on, the way he's able to bring players into the game as well. He's got so many assists in the league this season, like such an important player. So for sure, hopefully, as Moyes touched on, he's not going to take the risk. He's not fully fit, but listen, there's magic needles out there. He's one of your magic needles and get him fire on the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he goes on and says things about Sevilla. He says, I think Delaney and Ratakic's return does make them stronger. Ocampos is suspended. Like, we've got injuries, they've got injuries. They've got a couple back from suspension and injury, and I think that Rakitic is a really good player, an incredibly experienced player, and Delaney's an excellent player as well. They've been around international football and European football, whether they've been at Barcelona, Dortmund. I have to say those two players are extremely experienced in a game in which will probably need a lot of experience and nous to get over the line. And it's true, but it doesn't mean that because they're in that position that a club like West Ham, who have absolutely nothing to lose, can't turn up on the day and do the job. Matt, from all the things we've said there about the presser, what do you take from it, mate?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Creswell, he won't risk, but I think Antonio, he's going to really, he'll leave it down to the wire. He'll leave it as late as possible just to say yes or no. The fact that they're doing fitness work, the fact they're doing any sort of running tells you that there is a possibility.
Yeah.
I think Johnson's performance from the weekend probably alleviated some of the worry that he had to throw Creswell back in. I think Johnson actually looks more comfortable on the left-hand side, so I don't think he's going to be as worried about Creswell. But I think Antonio, like you've said, the way we play, the way he helps the team going forward, the three playing off of him, I think he'll get, unless he gets like a definitive no from like the medical team, I think Moyes probably would gamble on Antonio. Because there's no second try tomorrow, is there? That is it. It's not like playing a league game and we risk him and then didn't play him and we lose, or we had a gamble, we might have won it. There's no redo tomorrow, so
there's
everything's on the line.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions I want to ask, but there's also a couple of questions in the chat that, if you don't mind, Roshane, and I don't want to keep you all night either, so don't worry, we won't be doing that. So, talking about a couple of players that can come in and take over, I'm looking for your kind of brief thoughts on Yarmolenko and your brief thoughts on Vlasic. Yarmolenko's situation, which nobody really probably can even begin to imagine how he was feeling or is feeling in general. To come on and get that moment, a very emotional moment for West Ham, for Yarmolenko and his family, and how that will impact him, turning up to his work every single day, trying to keep his mind off of that situation, which will never happen, obviously. And then the second question would be on Vlasic. He had a great performance, in my opinion. I thought he's starting to get better now. He's starting to look a bit better in his performances. He's obviously taken a knock, but we're expecting him to be back and ready to rock and roll. So if you don't mind giving me kind of those two ones, please.
Yeah, I'll start with obviously Yarmolenko, of course, and what I'll say, I know it's been up and down for Yarmolenko since he's joined us. Injuries are pretty much curtailed his progress, but he's so popular behind the scenes. He's so popular. His nickname, right, is Squarehead. That's what the players call him behind the scenes. That's his nickname. They call him Squarehead. And look, I mentioned following the win against Aston Villa that he only trained 4 times prior to that match. Obviously, because of what's going on in his personal life, and obviously matters off the field, of course. So it was very hard for him on the past couple of weeks. It's really been tough for him. So credit to Yarmolenko for having the confidence to play that game. And I must say, the unity from the squad, the board, coaching staff has enabled Yarmolenko to feel comfortable to play. Karen Brady, for example, she's been on the phone to him also on a daily basis. Asks him how he is, how his wife and 3 sons are. So I'm happy for him that he scored that goal against Aston Villa, because that'll definitely help his confidence. And look, we all know, as I mentioned, it's been a struggle for him this season, but I think a lot of us felt he had that one big moment in him. When you think of Yarmolenko, that goal against Chelsea, for example, big moments, to go against Aston Villa, big moments in terms of West Ham being involved in European race. I reckon there's another big moment in Yarmolenko, and that could be tomorrow night, provided Antonio doesn't play. So, and I mentioned because if you remember in his debut season, he suffered an Achilles injury. He's out for I think 9 months. And during that season, obviously when he recovered, he took out staff, the physios, to a nice restaurant and paid for all of them as like a thank you for everything. And then on his third game back against Norwich, he's ran to the bench and hugged all the physios.
Yeah, when he scored that goal,
Yeah, because he's so grateful. So that's certainly Yarmolenko. Look, Yarmolenko's finishing is probably the best at the club. That goal he scored against Aston Villa is such a Yarmolenko type goal. So look, if he does play tomorrow, I have confidence they have another good game. In terms of Vlasic, I'm still holding out judgment. I'm not gonna be of the opinion that he's terrible. Why on earth do we sign him? Because I have seen signs that he's a good player there. But you have to remember, whenever a new player comes, it takes them a while to get settled. We saw it for now. It took him probably a year to get settled. Benrahma took Yeah. Again, I guess to settle as well. There's examples of players who've taken up. Even Jared Bowen. Last season, Jared Bowen was substituted, I think, 24 times in the league, the second most after Double A, I believe. So even he had his difficult moments. So I've seen signs that he's developing. As you mentioned, he had that great chance last week against Seville. So he's getting in goal scoring opportunities. It's a case of just converting them and gaining more confidence in the long run, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Roisin, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions from the chat, then I'll get your predictions, and then I'll let you go, mate, because I know you've got a very busy time of it just now. So a couple of questions I'm just trying to find them. I did have them saved, but they've literally just disappeared. So Andrew's asking, Roisin, what is the reluctance with Moyes to give players like Okaflex his opportunity?
Andrew, I have no idea. I've been asking David Moyes, listen, Okaflex, when are you going to give him opportunity? So, because there's two players, right? Because I've been champion onto the freeze for quite some time. I think there's a lot of talented players there. And there's two particular who I believe are, on the cost of being ready right now. And that's Okaflex and Sonny Perkins. They're the two that I think I have high hopes for. Because Okaflex, an exciting winger, full of tricks. Only one thing he's still working is his final ball, but that will happen in due course. I spoke to Jim Crawford, the manager for Republic of Ireland's under-21s, and he said, listen, this guy's going to go. He's going places. Like, he's a really exciting player to watch. I'm really looking forward to working with him in the future. If he doesn't get a chance at West Ham, hopefully he'll go on loan. So I'm not sure why Moyes has sort of been reluctant to give him a chance. I'm hoping he will play at some point between now and obviously the end of the season, with Bowen still being out, with Vlasic working his way back in, Benrahma. We're quite weak in terms of wingers, so hopefully Okaflex will get a chance because I like him a lot. Exciting player.
Yeah. And obviously you're saying Sonny Perkins is another one who's got the ability there as well.
You know what's so great about Sonny, right? He started off as attacking midfielder. Like, we see him play out front. That wasn't the case last season, especially earlier this season. He scored a hat-trick against Brighton, I believe, on the opening day of the season, right? And coaches were like, because prior to that game, there's another young player called Divin Mwamba, who's also highly rated, but Divin was out of injury, and they thought, who on earth we could play up front? So he played Sonny Perkins up front. He scored a hat-trick, and they thought, he looks quite good here. Played him, kept scoring goals on 18s. When his debut against Ipswich for under-23s, also impressed. And at that time, Meepo was out on loan, Sharon Evans was out of injury, and again, he took his chance and played well, hence why he got that debut against Vienna, I believe. So, he's also another one to look out for.
Cool. The second last question we're going to ask for you, and this is an interesting one as well from Bonnie. Can you ask Reece, please, from your sources, do you think the bids we made in January were genuine? We can all make offers on a Ferrari, but with no intention of completing the deal. So, I mean, listen, I know that Moyes spoke out about it and said it, but do you think there was a form of genuineness to bring these players in?
Yeah, I believe for sure when it comes to Darwin Núñez, Zapata, I believe the striker from Atalanta. But the one that I keep hearing, like, listen, there were no bids for was Calvin Phillips. Even now, I keep hearing from like sources at Leeds, like, listen, we received no bid. I don't know what on earth they're talking about. We received no bids whatsoever. Hence why Simon Jordan went on TalkSport saying, and he shared a story when he was chairman of Crystal Palace, and how they made these bids and they'll leak it to the media.
Bids,
and it wasn't a case. And look, even we're in March now, and even now, I'm still hearing we received no bids for Calvin Phillips. I don't know where on earth they got that story from. So that's the one that I'm still hearing. Listen, there were no bids for.
No, interesting. Tommy, Matt, any questions for Roisin before asking for his predictions for tomorrow?
I was just going for predictions, but no, go on.
Tommy. Just because I know you follow the under-23s closely, Roisin, and the thing with me with the under-23s is, we've seen a lot of players who've looked very, very good at under-23 level, and then maybe they get a bit of a chance in the first team of some substitute appearances, or they go out on loan to League One, and they just never really do anything. I just remember, you're talking obviously about Okaflex. You think he has a good future, but I remember Tony Martinez banging in goals left, right, and centre for the under-23s, but just was never good enough to play in the first team at West Ham. But if there was one player, should we say, in the under-23s that you would kind of say was nailed on or as close to, that you think will become a first-team regular, which player would you think would actually really make it?
So I mentioned earlier too that I'm hopeful right now in terms of being on the brink of first teams, Okaflex, Sonny Perkins. But in my opinion, the best young player right now at West Ham is a young kid called Freddie Potts, the son of Steve Potts.
Yeah.
He's a defensive midfielder, also plays centre back. I'm telling you, this kid is so good. So good. Definitely keep an eye on it. I know obviously his older brother is Dan Potts, who obviously played for the club as well, now at Luton Town, I believe. But Freddie Potts, he's the one I have high hopes for because he's so good, 17. And what I see from him, I'm thinking, you're so good, you're this young. When things click for you, it's going to be exciting for him. Really will be.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to hear because I do, I get to watch a lot of the under-23 games and we're looking at players like Forson. I'm excited about them. I was lucky enough to be at St Andrews watching the team train there. We've got Ekwa, Alessi, Baptiste. I can see, how they've got the ability to definitely make the step up. So it'll be interesting to see.
Harrison Ashby looks an unbelievable player
Ashby.
too.
Yep. If they don't play at West Ham, they're going to have great careers in the Football League for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Matt?
What is the chances we see Conor Coventry next season?
I think it's unlikely, if I'll be honest. I think it's unlikely. I believe Conor Coventry will have a similar pathway like Scully. Scully's at Lincoln now, and he's doing great stuff for Lincoln, like scoring goals on a regular basis. I think that'll sort of be Conor. Connor's right now in League One at MK Dons, playing well for them, playing week in, week out. But earlier season, he was alone at Peterborough. He couldn't get a chance, and I interviewed him. I was like, "How tough has it been?" He's been having chats with Kevin Nolan's been like really, giving him confidence that he can have a good career. And I interviewed Ricky Martin, the Academy director. He said, "Listen, sometimes you get good loan spells, sometimes you get bad loan spells. It happens for young players. But I believe Connor's a player who'll probably leave in the summer and get a permanent move to like a Championship or League One club."
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Rasheen, then West Ham at home tomorrow. Second leg.
We've got Super Dave. I'm joking.
It's ingrained in your brain, mate. It's ingrained in your brain. But the biggest game in 16 years, questionably the biggest game in 16 years, arguably the biggest game in the last couple of decades. So West Ham at home against Sevilla, second leg, mate. No away goals, 1-0 deficit. Can we do the job? What are your predictions for the second leg tomorrow evening, Rasheen?
We can do the job. I definitely believe we can. I'm going for a 2-0 win. I'm going for a 2-0 win. I definitely believe we can do it. After that loss against Southampton, I was so down because FA Cup would have loved to go on a nice cup run. Obviously, that can't happen anymore. So it's all pretty much down to the Europa League now. And we're still in the hunt for maybe top 4, top 6. But I think this is the one competition that everyone's really optimistic for, the Europa League. It's the one thing keeping us all going as fans. So I really hope we can put in a good show. And as I mentioned, win 2-0 tomorrow.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? Listen, Rasheen, mate, thank you so much for joining us. Myself, Tommy, and Matt are going to go off on another West Ham tangent to carry on the show. So much appreciated for you spending the time.
By the way, Tommy, is that like a 1980s West Ham shirt you have on?
80s, 1980 FA Cup final, yeah.
Oh, yes. I
There you go.
recognize it.
Yeah.
It's the
Wembley,
bad boy.
1980, yeah. Trevor Brookings' number on the back, by the way.
Oh, I'll check you out, Tommy. Check what? Any signature? Any signature from?
No,
from the
unfortunately, I'm gonna have to get hold of him at the stadium next time I'm there and see if I can get him to sign on the number 4,
sure.
and just see get that.
Sure,
That'd be sweet, yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Hold on, I need to show mine because I'm seeing West Ham in the background. Everyone, I need to show my West Ham jersey so I can feel part of the club.
Yeah, love it. Good man. No, it's cool, mate. It's good. Fingers crossed we can get a result. And I hope you enjoy it, mate. And I hope you are singing loud and proud as well there with the fans tomorrow. Absolutely. Rasheen, everyone in the chat saying thank you. Cheers, Rasheen. Great to hear from you. Thanks, Rosh. Love to get you back on. I know you know DJ Russie B, who's part of the channel as well. So
because Russie's always playing Triple H at half time. He's always playing Triple H.
He is, and he's getting a lot of recommendations through the chat here as well. So we'll be working on what he can do. But we're glad we've got Bubbles back. That's the main thing. We've got Bubbles back before the kickoff, and that's what we've been desperate for such a long time. So
no, for sure.
Glad about that. Anyway, Rasheen, thank you very much, mate. Take it easy and stay safe. And
take care, chaps. All the best.
Cheers,
for sure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye. Cool to have him on, man. It's always good to get someone else from the media who kind of sees it from their point of view. Tommy, yeah?
Yeah, that was fantastic, yeah. It was really interesting talking to him. Look, he knows his stuff. He's obviously a huge fan of the club and he does his research as well. And West Ham, I suppose, is his life, really. He's writing for the Atlantic, as you say. So was it the Atlantic? You said
The Athletic.
Athletic, excuse me. So yeah, it was brilliant to have him on and hear his thoughts on it. He's very articulate and he knows his stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, it gets to this nitty gritty. This is the time I enjoy the most, especially when Tommy's on the show, because I love the dynamic choices and formations you come up with. That doesn't mean you're wrong. I just love it because I love how it's thinking outside the box, and that's what sometimes Moyes does. So I get it, I get it. But if you are watching, I want you to start naming your starting 11 in the chat. So again, we're asking you to base that upon when you're putting a comment in, talk about the goalkeepers, the defenders, the midfielders, the forwards, if we have any who are fit to play in the game tomorrow. So name your starting 11. Now, if only I'd had it prepared before we actually got it started. So I'm actually currently loading up the team selector, you could call it. But let's get straight onto the keeper. Tommy Areola was with Moyes today. Fabianski, what a fantastic save at the weekend. I mean, it's
Brilliant.
It was a phenomenal save at the weekend. But
was.
we're getting into the kind of latter stages of the Europa. So does he stick with Areola? And if we do progress, does he keep sticking with Areola?
Yes, essentially. Areola is our Europa League goalkeeper. He's done nothing that would suggest he should be dropped. Hasn't made any errors. He's been solid. He's done a good job. So yeah, I fully expect Areola to start tomorrow. And I think he will start for the duration of however long we stay in the competition. He'll be our number one for that competition, I think.
Matt, do you concur?
Yeah, he's the cup goalkeeper, and Moyes has sort of made this decision at the moment. And like you said, he was in the presser. That normally tells you they're playing. So
yeah, absolutely. Right, when it comes to formation, then you know, we done this show last week. I don't think anyone got it right, to be honest. I fully expected us to stick with the 5. I think you got the formation right, Tommy, didn't you? You expected the 4. But the
4-2-3-1.
Yeah. What do we think we're going to do for the formation? I'll put this one over to you, Matt, first before we come to Tommy.
I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1. Purely because that would be like for like against the Ville's team.
Yeah.
So, you know, Moyes does sometimes, you know, it's a weird one, coincidentally, because 4-2-3-1 has been our go-to formation this season. And the only time Moyes has really tried to change it is when he's tried to match up other teams. Like the Chelsea game at home, when he tried to go like 3-4-3 in the first half, it didn't work and he changed it. But either way, 4-2-3-1 is probably going to be what he goes to because it's the go-to formation and it matches up what they're likely to play themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Tommy, what do you think then? I mean, if we're going with this if we're basing it on the 4, do you agree with the formation? And if you do, what do you think of our centre half pairing?
Yeah, I think Moyes will stick with 4-2-3-1. That's what I would do. So that's what I'm expecting. And as for the centre-back pairing, basically picks itself.
Speaks for itself, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Dawson and Zuma goes in there with Diop sitting on the bench. And fair play to Diop, though. He albeit, you know, it's a bit part, 10 minutes he's getting at the end, but he's coming in and doing a job. And I've liked it, what he's done in the last couple of games, because he's kind of gone in and smashed the player that's come anywhere near him. And he's like, you know, sending a message. I'm sending a message and I'll get the ball, but I'll take you with it as well. So
yeah, I like that aggression from him. It's good to see.
Yeah, it does. It actually suits him quite well, and as long as they're obviously well-timed tackles. Right, this gets on to the interesting part. But does it get interesting? So Cressy picked up a knock, and we're not sure 50-50 whether or not he'll play. But we do have other options. We've got Ben Johnson who can switch across there. We've also got the likes of Masuaku, who is kicking about again, the team and performing again. Tommy, what do you think will be the left back position?
All right, get Masuaku out of there. You're trying to give me a cold sweat. He's not playing. Get him off the pitch.
There you go.
I think Cresswell's going to start tomorrow night. I really do.
Really?
I think him.
Yeah.
I think him and Antonio will be risked. I think they will start. I think it's such a huge game, and I think Moyes sees both of those as very important players to the team, and I think he will be very, very eager to have both of them on the pitch. So I think if they've got any chance of playing, I think, despite what he said, I think there's a little smoke and mirrors from him there. I think Cresswell and Antonio will both start, so I'm saying Cresswell left back.
Matt, what do you think, mate?
I see. For me, it does entirely depend on if he's fit. I agree with Tommy. I'll get rid of Masuaku. He's like fourth choice at the moment. I think maybe fifth choice. I think all the right backs in front of him for that position. It will solely come down to, is he fit? I think if Cresswell is fit, he will start him. But I think there's less of a chance of him risking Cresswell. Like, I think if they say he's only like 50% match fit, I think that Johnson will start.
Yeah.
Purely because of how well he did at left back against Villa. You know, I thought in the first half against Villa, he actually kind of struggled at right back. He seemed a lot happier playing left back in the second half. So it's just hard one to call because we don't, you know, Moyes, like Tommy said, Moyes is playing in smoke and mirrors.
He is. I do think he is, but I kind of probably do agree with Tommy on Cresswell, to be honest. I do think he is going to play. You know, you start to hear some things coming out of the club, and the fact he's working with the fitness coaches, you know, he's got a full season under his belt. He's played a lot of games, so he's going to be at the fitness level. So a couple of days rest isn't really going to do him any harm. Assess him, nothing that bad. He's going to come back in bouncing, and I think we're going to need Cresswell firing on all cylinders. And if he does play, that really not forces, but it puts Ben Johnson back to where we really want him to be at the right back position. Tommy, talk to me about Ben Johnson just now.
Yeah, he's a tremendous young player, and he's just going to keep getting. And I think, like Rice, he's just going to keep getting better and better because he's getting the games now consistently. Whereas previously he was playing second fiddle to Sofal, and he kind of had to get his minutes where he could, whether it was in a cup or whether it was to cover for a suspension or injury, either to Sofal or Cresswell. But now he's kind of nailing down that fullback spot and making it his own. And he's improving all the time. I think defensively, he's really, really solid and very dependable defensively. He still has some work to do going forward. He must get better in attack. Funnily, against Villa, for some reason, when he was at right back, he just wasn't really getting forward. He wasn't adding anything to the attack. And then, I don't know why, but when he switched over to the left, all of a sudden, his attacking play was much better. I can't quite explain it, but it was. He was marauding down the left-hand side in the second half and doing some really good work down there. And so he needs to replicate what he did against Villa on the left-hand side tomorrow night against Sevilla. He's got to back himself going forward. He does like to get those early balls in the box. He doesn't dally. As soon as that ball comes to him, is played back to him, he's trying to whip it in. He does need to improve a little bit on his crossing, but I think that will come.
Yeah.
So I'm really impressed.
Peak Ads is saying here, Ben Johnson and Freddie gave West Ham United some good pace. And they did. So either way, Matt, if Cressy doesn't make it, which is not going to be great, putting Ben Johnson out there, backing up what Tommy said about his performance against Villa, and adding the pace of what Fredericks, we know defensively, not the best in the world, but definitely does cause problems going forward. And if Sevilla don't score a lot of goals, in particular, don't score a lot of goals away from home, West Ham are on the back foot instantly, so we need to get a goal to tie this, to just at least tie. We have to score. No ifs or buts about it. That's what we have to take into consideration. It doesn't mean we're going to leave ourselves wide open, but if Cresswell isn't fit, this is still a decent option, is it not?
Yes, it depends how tactical Moyes wants to get into the game. Because if he wants to go tactically looking at the other team, I would, if Creswell's not 100%, start Johnson left hand, play Fredericks in, because they lost Acuna at the weekend. The left back, the backup option, is apparently absolutely awful. Augustinson, he's a Swedish left back, but 27, but recently bought him. But the reports coming out from even the British La Liga analysts are saying he's like their worst fullback they've got. So if we've got to go for it and Creswell's not 100%, would having the very attacking, fast-paced Fredericks on that side be a bad option? Just go at him.
Yeah.
You know, we saw what he offered coming off the bench, and we know that his strict defending is not Fredericks' forte. It's not. You know, if you wanted a contrast between two fullbacks, you couldn't look any more than Johnson compared to Fredericks.
Yeah.
Fredericks is just gun-ho, bomb past him and put a ball in.
And this is a valid point here from Mark Alexander. Fredericks bring, where is it? Problem is Fredericks against Martial. That's, you've got two players that bomb forward. One's, yeah.
So then it's, but you got to think they're coming away from home in a European second leg. They're not going to be going. Martial's there for a counter attack.
Yeah.
Like I don't expect Seville to turn up and go all out attack. Like they haven't won away from home in Europe this season.
Yep. Well, let's move on. I think we're pretty much dead certain. And if it's not going to be Creswell because he's injured, we know Johnson will fill in there, and we've got Fredericks that can fill in the right back position.
And if that does come to pass, that we need to play Fredericks at right back, it is an absolute blessing that Acuna is not playing. An absolute blessing, because I would have been terrified of Acuna going up against Fredericks.
Yeah.
But if he's facing the Swedish lad Augustinson, like, he should be able to handle him. And like I say, Martial, yes, could be a problem for Fredericks on that side, but Martial has pace, but so does Fredericks. So at least he can track him.
Yeah. I mean, there's no point really in even bringing Kroll into the equation. You kind of do feel a bit sorry for him, to be honest, but it's just not going to be happening. The central midfield pairing is going to be the usual. Declan Rice and Tommy Soucek. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, Declan Rice is a yellow card away from being suspended for one more game. So he's walking a tightrope, you could say. Do you think that would have a negative impact on him, Tommy?
No, not for a second. I don't think he's even going to be thinking about that. There's just too much at stake. His focus will be entirely on getting us through to the next round, into the quarterfinals. So I don't think that's going to be in his mind at all. He's going to go out and give 100% as usual. He doesn't tend to do anything stupid or rash anyway. He's very controlled in his tackling and everything he does. So I don't think it's going to be a concern for him tomorrow, and it won't be a concern for me. Look, if it happens, it happens. But if you start trying to play within yourself a bit, or try to play too cagey because you don't want to get a yellow, then it won't matter in the end anyway, because we'll end up getting knocked out and the yellow card will be irrelevant anyway. So I don't think it's going to affect how he plays tomorrow at all.
No, absolutely. Matt, this is probably gets down to the interesting part now. So we've obviously saw Yarmolenko come on against Aston Villa. It's a fantastic goal, isn't it, Matt? What a goal. Coming away from the emotions in the moment, talking about the technical ability that we all know he's got, the goal itself is a phenomenal goal.
Well, that's the sort of goal that would not belong in his West Ham highlights, would more likely belong in like his Ukraine highlights.
Yeah.
That's the sort of goal expected to have scored at the Euros last summer. He's never really played down the middle with runners for West Ham. When he's played for Ukraine, a bit like how Haller didn't fit for us either. Yarmolenko has been like a target man, ball into feet, and then runners off him.
Yeah.
And that sort of goal would be right up there, the technique required for that, because he's essentially taken the touch on his weaker foot with his back to goal, and then pirouetted on the spot to outside of the boot, place it in the far corner.
Yeah, phenomenal technical
I'd
ability.
argue maybe no one else in the team could probably do what he did.
Yeah.
Certainly Antonio wouldn't have a hope and catch chance in hell. But
so talking about then Yarmolenko and talking about the fact that he's got that goal and footballing terms, his confidence will be reasonably high. Tommy, is their mindset in trying to bottle that and use that tomorrow against Sevilla at home?
Well, we might have to. If Antonio can't start, then I imagine he's going to go with Yarmolenko as the lone striker. So what we could see tomorrow, which wouldn't surprise me, is if Yarmolenko starts, but because he's done so little training, I mean, there's just no way he plays 90 minutes. He's just not fit enough. But Moyes might think, okay, Antonio can't start, but I can have him on the bench. I can get something out of him. So if I can get, a good 65, 70 minutes out of Yarmolenko, then I can spring Antonio if I feel like I really need him, depending on the scoreline, and try and get 20 minutes out of him. So that's what we could see.
So based upon that theory, then, Tommy, what would you rather? And the question is to both of you and to everyone in the chat: would you rather have Antonio start with Yarmolenko coming off the bench making an impact, or would you rather Yarmolenko start with Antonio coming off the bench making an impact?
I think, look, if Antonio is fit enough to start, I'd rather see him start. Look, I know Yarmo scored a cracking goal against Villa, but I just worry about his fitness levels, and he tends to be able to come on and do well off the bench, Yarmolenko. But the last couple of years, whenever I've seen him start a game, and play 70, 75, 80 minutes, he's really not done anything, to be honest. He hasn't really had any impact on the game. So I really hope Antonio will be fit enough to start. But Yarmolenko can be useful in the final 10 or 15 minutes coming off the bench, whether he comes on out in the right wing or he replaces Antonio up top. Because, like I say, he has better chance of having an impact when he's coming on against tired defenders. He's got those fresh legs, he's buzzing about, and he can get a step on them. So I'd rather see Antonio start and Yarmolenko come off the bench.
Yeah. And also we do have to take into consideration this point here, Bonnie from Bonnie. Extra time is possible with no away goals. So we could be in for the long haul tomorrow night, 120 minutes. So we do need to be mindful of that as well. However, I don't think Moyes sets up for that, and I don't think he is going to have that in consideration, because Moyes will want to be going all out to get this game done in 90 minutes if he can. That's obviously the plan, and that's what we know he does like to do. So are we in agreement that, listen, we'll never know, but we're taking a guess here, Antonio plays? Matt, are you agreeing with that as well?
Yeah, I agree with Tommy. I'd rather see Yarmolenko off the bench.
Yeah, cool.
He doesn't have. I know Europe's slightly different, but certainly Premier League, he doesn't have the engine and the pace to play the 90 minutes from the start with sharpness. But you saw him coming off the bench for the final half hour against Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Against legs that had run against Antonio for an hour. He enjoyed playing. So
yeah,
if he's only 50% fit, I'd still start Antonio. I'd rather get him in rather than having to be like, see what, and then half hour to go, we're still chasing goals. Get him in, and if he can only play an hour, then get someone else on for him after.
Yeah, absolutely. Three more positions to choose.
And as well, just one other thing as well you need to be cognizant of tomorrow is that because Antonio won't be fully fit, you don't want to be bringing him on maybe as your third substitution and then having him break down and ending up having to play with 10 men. So I think if you're going to risk Antonio, you're better off risking him from the start. So at least if he does break down,
you've got the
after
option.
40 minutes or an hour, you do still have that option to replace him and bring Yarmolenko on. So you don't want to be bringing him on as your third sub and then having him break down, because you're really in trouble.
Tommy, why the hell are you not at the London Stadium, mate? Tell me, why are you not managing West Ham? I never thought of that. It's good, clever thinking there, isn't it? Tommy, that was for you. Oh, he's just like...
Sorry, I'm always embarrassed by praise. Sorry, I don't think it...
I like that though, so I'm going to keep praising you from now on. There's 3 positions left to fill, and of course, Bowen's not going to be available. Vlasic should be back from his knock, but the fact that he did have a knock, I can assume that he won't start the game tomorrow because I think there are 3 other players there that will be playing instead of him. Do we all agree on that?
Yeah, well, Lanzini is nailed on at number 10, isn't he?
Yep. And just while we're on the Lanzini moment, he is also another player who's walking on a tightrope because he does also have a the yellow card scenario. So if he is booked, he does miss the next match. But I don't think that is going to be a big concern for Moyes or for Lanzini. So Lanzini in the hole then, are we? What?
It can't be a concern. Right?
No.
Because you not risk him and then you don't qualify. Like, it's just one of them, isn't it? It's just got to gamble and roll the dice to see what happens.
Yep, absolutely. That means then that Benny goes out on the left and Fornals goes out on the right. Are we happy with that potential lineup, or are you thinking something else?
I'm not sure Moyes does that. Put Fornals on the right. If I'm honest, I don't know if he wants to do that. Now he could have Benrahma and Fornals swapping over and back. You know, we've seen that before with wingers swapping over and back. But I have a suspicion that he'll play Fornals on the left and Vlasic on the right. I'll be honest.
All right, okay.
I could be wrong, but I
Benny,
think Vlasic,
and Benny dropped in there.
Yeah, I think Benny on the bench. If Vlasic is good to go, I suspect that's the way Moyes will go. I think he prefers to have Fornals on that left-hand side to double up with Cress, and I think he quite likes Vlasic actually a bit more than he likes Benrahma, if I'm honest. And I think if Vlasic is good to go, I think he'll put him on the right. That's my instinct.
Matt, what do you think?
I was going to say the reason I thought he might play Fornals on the right was just to double up with Martial. But
yep,
there's 3 players there that Moyes will pick any 3, and whoever he picks, he's going to be happy to play.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other option,
because I would say Vlasic at the moment over Benrahma, because I don't personally think he's been having a very good time with it. However, he did get 2 assists at the weekend.
Yeah,
you know,
but that's the thing, though. But that's the dilemma, I suppose you could say, is, you know. And I said this earlier on in a video I done today. I'd happily have Benrahma playing shit, borderline shit. I'm not saying he was shit.
If he's getting 2 assists a game.
But if he gets 2 assists a game, then I'll definitely take that. But the dilemma we've got is that he is blowing hot and cold, and Vlasic is blowing hot and cold, or maybe not hot and cold, maybe lukewarm to warm. You know, getting better, gradually showing us something. And I think that's a dilemma we're in. It's like, I thought Vlasic had a reasonable game against Sevilla.
Yeah, I just think Vlasic is more involved in the general play. You know, I just feel like Benrahma kind of just goes missing. You almost forget he's on the pitch for a while. Whereas I think Vlasic is always noticeable. You always know he's on the pitch. You can always see him working. You can always see him trying to get on the ball and being involved in things a bit more. So I would rather see Vlasic start, because I think he's just a busier player.
Yeah.
And you just know when Vlasic is on the pitch, you kind of know he's on the pitch. You hear his name regularly. The ball is coming to his feet regularly. And whereas Benrahma, I don't know, he just kind of goes missing for a while. And I know Benrahma has the ability to do something in a split second, but I just feel, again, like with Yarmolenko, I think if Benrahma coming on maybe for those last 15 or 20 minutes has the ability, again, against those tiring legs, in a slower paced, more open game, where I think Benrahma is a player coming. I would trust Benrahma to come off the bench and have a real impact than I would Vlasic. Do you know what I mean? Whereas during the 90 minutes, I trust Vlasic to be involved more, even though he's not as spectacular.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, you know, I want to talk about if there are changes to this starting 11. So there's no point in me even talking about the Creswell and Ben Johnson situation. If Creswell's not fit, that's a very blatant answer to that. Ben Johnson goes in at left-hand back and Fredericks goes there. But if Antonio is not able to make the game tomorrow, does that change the dynamics of our forward line? And are there, with is that just a straight swap and you put Yarmolenko in there, or do you start to mess about with players like Ben Rama? Does Fornals drop to the bench? Does Ben Rama come in? And considering that's probably where the debate comes in, doesn't it?
No, I think if Antonio isn't fit, I think there's maybe two possibilities. I think Moyes will either just chuck Yarmolenko in there and just get as much out of him as he can, whether it's 70 minutes or whatever it is, 75 minutes, whatever his fitness level allows. Or if Vlasic is available, he may just play Vlasic up there and start Ben Rama. That would be another option.
Yeah. So bring in Vlasic up here.
Potentially, yeah. It's an option for Moyes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
If he doesn't think,
Benny...
if Moyes doesn't think that Yarmo's fitness levels are anywhere near high enough for him to start the game, because obviously his match fitness is going to be not great, so that is a possibility that Vlasic could be thrown in at number 9.
What do you think?
And
could
play even as a kind of a false number 9, is coming deep.
Yeah,
I think he would be, out of the wingers, the one best suited to play as a centre forward. Like, I think I said before that I'd rather see Vlasic up front than Bowen. I just think Vlasic is good into feet. He's strong. We've seen him he actually does compete and hold off players. He's got that physical aspect. He does make clever runs in behind. He may not be as bullyish as Antonio, but from every other aspect, he is very similar. He has similar attributes to Antonio and could probably do that job to a certain degree, maybe not as well, but if you're looking for someone to fill in the gap while he's not there, it wouldn't be a bad idea, to be fair, to start him, because like we said, Yarmolenko, he is better coming off the bench.
Yeah, if I'm honest, if it was my call, I would play Vlasic up top. I would, ahead of Yarmo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to jump through some of the comments before we come on to the predictions for the game tomorrow. Vinay saying Moyes always looking for reasons to drop Benny. Bonnie saying we need Ben Rama with all the injuries. Bonnie is saying, and I'm not a big fan of Ben Rama. Pigad saying, I'd love Lanzini come on as a sub, Pablo or Vlasic in the centre and Benny on the left.
Drop Lanzini to the bench. Have you lost your mind?
Bonnie is saying no end product from Vlasic. Epic is saying I want to see Ben Rama on the left, Vlasic in the middle, and Fornals on the right. As you can see, everyone's here. I mean, Epic Casting, I don't know if you're agreeing or you're saying drop Lanzini. Apache saying looks right, same 11 that started in Sevilla. Jonas saying if Creswell is out, bring in Diop. If you're going to bring in Diop, you're committing then to the 5 at the back, really, aren't you?
Well, that would be the suggestion. I can't imagine he thinks Diop should play left back.
I wouldn't commit to the 5 at the back. You can't go 5 at the back when you're chasing a game.
Yeah, exactly. Bonnie Hammer saying Vlasic false 9, and I mean Moyes is capable of doing that as well, of course, and maybe having Antonio and Yarmolenko as the double whammy coming off the bench and giving Sevilla a bloody fright, because West Ham playing a false 9, it's doable with the creation we've got there, and if like you said, the false 9 with Vlasic being in that role, it means he can still get forward, but has to do his work rate. So yeah, it's definitely an option as well. Andrew saying Ben Rama is such an infuriating player. His decision making is poor, talented player, but can see why Moyes gets frustrated with him. Pgas saying Vlasic, Benny, Lanzini, and Pablo forward line would be amazing, although Rice and Suchek will need to make runs. So he's agreeing with that kind of comment. There, Hornswazler saying, "Oh, sorry, go for it, Tommy."
Just the same person who said he'd drop Lanzini.
Is it?
Yeah, he said he'd bench Lanzini.
Definitely. Let me have a look up here. I'm trying to find that comment again. P-Gads is saying West Ham will be up 4-0 up at halftime. We'll put Diop on as a striker. I don't know if he was on the wind-up there. Maybe. I think that's what it is.
Hope so. Yeah.
Scott Venn is saying Vlasic's championship standard. Send him to QPR. Harsh. My nan would have scored that header. Well, to be fair, so would have mine. Moyes doesn't like Benny because Benny thinks himself better than he actually is. Do you agree with that comment? Do you think he is thinking that way?
I don't think
I think Moyes just gets frustrated with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
Because
just
like you see from the
yeah.
2 assists against Villa, the first one he cuts inside and he actually plays it into Yarmolenko's feet, and you think, why can't you do that sort of delivery often? Why are you actually picking someone out rather than just lumping balls in?
Yeah.
And the second one, that really was the one where Moyes gets frustrated because he's finally God knows how many times he got in that position where he could have just looked up and cut the ball back to someone. I remember saying at the time to people sitting next to me, I was like, he's finally played the right pass. Like it's taken him 82 minutes or whatever. And you think if you know you've got it in you that he could just make that run, take it in stride, look up and play the easy pass. And that's all he has to do. It's like sometimes it's like Ben Rama tries too hard. Like he's trying to play the Kevin De Bruyne wonder pass. When like you look at the pass he made for the second goal, is just look up and pass it to the open man. So I don't think Moyes dislikes him. I think Moyes just gets frustrated because he sees the ability is there, but sometimes the work ethic isn't there, or sometimes it's just the decision making is just awry.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that's why Vlasic tends to start ahead of Benrahma. I think Moyes just trusts him a lot more than he trusts Benrahma.
Yep. Ludders, I've done a story on it today for the Hammers headlines in conjunction association with KUMB.com. But, you know, I think there could be some truth in it, but I don't know how much truth there is in it. He's 29. He's got a year left in his contract. And we all know he will want to work his way back to the club where he started from, because he's very open about how much he loves it. They put 2 and 2 together because I think there was a connection between him and one of the owners of the club or directors of the club. I don't see him going because I think West Ham will want more from him. However, money can talk, and you can bring some back of your investment back.
If you say money talks, then surely that leaves him at West Ham, because he's certainly not going to go back to Argentina and get the money he's getting.
Oh no.
I think he'll get one more contract. Yeah, I think he'll get like another 4 years. That'll take him to his 33, or 3 years to his 33, and then he'll go.
Yeah,
I don't see it being that much.
This movie's just going on again because I did see something about apparently some of their directors are in Europe again doing like a scouting mission, and one of them met up with Lanzini for dinner the other day, and they exchanged club shirts. He gave Lanzini a 10 with it. Is it Studiantes or whatever? He gave him their shirt, and he gave him a West Ham one. Right.
Yeah, I don't think there's any truth in that whatsoever. Why would Lanzini want to leave West Ham right now to go and play for River Plate? I mean, I know he's Argentinian, but I think even at that, like I'd be amazed if Lanzini went to West Ham board or whoever and said, "Yeah, I want to go play for River Plate next season."
Especially as he's just got back in the Argentina team.
Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, we're going to go through the comments again in a second, but if you are watching, get your predictions in. It's time for us to go down to predictions. I'll come back to the chat, go through the predictions, and then we'll be done for the night. So get them in the chat. So Mark Alexander says Vlasic needs a run of games. LNJ is saying, will Rice be playing even though he got a yellow card? He absolutely will be. Toby's answered that question. If he gets booked tomorrow, he misses the next game. Steve Bell is saying, when's the draw for the next round? I believe it's Friday morning. And that,
by the way, the draw, the quarterfinals and semi-finals.
And the semi-finals, yeah, absolutely. So how good would that be, just to know your pathway potentially? Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. Goosebumps kicking in, nervousness. Yeah. Tommy, I said at the start I wasn't nervous, but maybe I'm a little bit now. Oh shit!
I told you, just wait until we start really talking about it and get closer to the game tomorrow. Yeah.
Bonnie, the bench will be our weakness tomorrow. We have very little options. Freno and Vlasic is our man tomorrow. He will close in Seville. Andrew says we'll give Vlasic next season, but very underwhelmed so far. Can't work out what Moyes saw to throw 28 mil. Hope to be proved wrong. Brexit Dawson, I love that comment. And the remainder, Rice, both will score. I can see Manu going to Italy or Spain. Regarding Vlasic from Bonnie, I always give foreign players a season to settle, but I have seen little from Vlasic to give me hope. He works hard, but no end product. Mandy G. Leno had a new contract this year earlier in the season. No, he does. His contract runs out at the end of next season. So he's got a year left at the end of this year. Adam is saying Rice and Lanzini can't think about their yellow cards, just think about getting through, then worry about not playing. Right. It's that time, lads. It's that time. Now, listen, if anyone's wanting to know what our plans are for tomorrow, there is going to be no Matchday Live tomorrow. There isn't. Matt's going to be at the game. I'm actually going out with family to a local establishment to watch the game. So there will be no Matchday Live tomorrow. So enjoy the match wherever you are. We will come to you with a review. Don't know when, depends on the result, I suppose. So Tommy, I'll go over to you, mate. Big game tomorrow. What's your predictions?
I'm very positive about this game. I really am. And I think the players, actually, more importantly, are confident that they can turn this around and get it done. Because, going into the first leg, our players, even Moyes, didn't really quite know what they were getting into. Didn't quite know like how good are they going to be, really. They're obviously second in the Liga. They have obviously this pedigree in Europa League. Our players are kind of unaccustomed to this kind of game. But I think after that 90 minutes over there, our players would have come out of that and would be talking to each other on the training ground and the dressing room and saying, like, we should not have lost that game. We matched them all the way. We had periods in the game where we were completely on top, when we looked the better team. Granted, they had their couple of purple patches as well, but our players would have felt, after coming away from that game, the mystery's gone now. Our players know we can beat this lot. We are absolutely good enough to beat them. I think the players really believe that now. They know they should have come away with something, at least a draw. So I think our players are confident that they can turn this lot over at home. And I am too. I think our players are going to step up tomorrow. They're going to play with belief, with drive, with determination. They're going to be really up for this. They're going to want to turn this around. And funnily enough, it might not be a terrible thing that we're 1-0 down. If we were coming home with a 1-0 lead or a 1-1 draw, we might be a little more cagey in our approach or something. But because we have to pull it back and we're coming from behind, we're basically doing the chasing. Sometimes it's easier to chase. They often say that about a title race. If you're just a little bit back from the leaders in the running, it tends to be the leaders that get a bit nervy, and the team that are chasing, that are that little bit more focused and kind of edgy, that are really going for it. And that might be the case for us tomorrow night, and I think it will be. And I think Sevilla are going to be the team that are a little bit cagey. And if we go 1-0 up, I think their air souls will drop out. I think they might fold if we really put the pressure on. If we go 1-0 up and we're on top and we're pressing for a second, I think their nerves might go. And with the atmosphere and what the fans are bringing to it, the place will go crazy if we go 1-0 up. The atmosphere is unbelievable. So I just have a feeling that we're going to get it done tomorrow. I really do. I think we're going to turn it around.
Tommy, mate. You've just given me that speech, mate. It's like one of those ones in what was that movie? The big American movie where he's in at halftime giving you that speech, Al Pacino. That's how I feel. Any given Sunday, mate. That's how I feel right now, Tommy. You've got me buzzing, mate. Buzzing with life. Absolutely love it. So what's your prediction?
I think we're going to keep a clean sheet, and I think we're going to score 1 goal either half. 2-0 West Ham.
2-0 West Ham. Holy bejesus. Matt?
I'm going 3-1.
Holy shit, man.
Can the third one can the third one please be in injury time? Our third goal in injury time. Yeah, from Yermo, when they've got no time whatsoever to get a goal back. Yeah, I don't want us to be like, I don't want us to have that 1 goal lead. Like with Villa, remember when they scored late and then you're like, oh Christ. And it's just torture for the last few minutes as they like pile on. Because Moyes will fucking bring on like Diop and Noble. He'll take off a couple of attacking players. They say, right, now we hold. And then they're going to be all over us, and we're just going to be tortured for whatever amount of time is left.
Oh man. Sevilla are known to not score a lot of goals, especially away from home. But equally though, they are the romance, I suppose, the kings of the Europa League. But we've got nothing to lose, which offers us, it just offers crazy dynamics for the game. And I do think there'll be goals in this game. I think there'll be goals from both teams. I think we are going to walk out 3-2 winners, but we'll take the game to extra time. And the game will be won in extra time by West Ham. But I do see goals, and it's something I don't predict. I predict it's a 3-2 is a score I would normally predict in the Premier League. I wouldn't predict it normally against Sevilla. But I think what Tommy said is that an early goal could completely throw them off the radar, and West Ham could go up and stretch that lead quite well. And then typical West Ham, shit ourselves when we're ahead and start to concede some goals as we have done in the past.
And still, why do you think I've gone 3-1? Look what you just said.
Yeah. So, I'm going to go for an extra time victory. Let me jump into the chat and see what everyone's saying. Vinay saying 3-0 West Ham, Dawson, Yarma, and Rice. WHU58 West Ham to lead 2-1 after 120 minutes. Then we win on penalties. I don't think I could fucking
3-0.
I know what penalties.
3-0 would be
penalties.
3-0 would be amazing, but we do not do things easy. We just don't.
No, we don't. Big Toby Sampson saying 3-1 Dawson, Suchek, and Rice. Mandy G saying 2-0 West Ham, Zuma and Dawson. Mark Thomas 2-0 after extra time. Steve WHU Bell 3-1 on the night. Come on, you Irons. Bonnie Hammer saying Brexit, Dawson double.
I do think we're gonna score one set piece goal, and it could well be someone like Dawson or
Dawson.
Zuma.
Yeah. And it'll probably come off of Dawson's face, like smack bang right on his face, and
he won't feel it
into the back of the. Yeah, he won't feel it anyway. West Ham win 2-0. Lanzini penalty. Suchek header. Mark Alexander 3-1. West Ham. Rice, Suchek, Vlasic. Freno 2-0. Vlasic. Two big hopes.
Tell you what, you get a lot of money if you go down the bookies now with Rice and Suchek to score.
Yeah. Or even Vlasic to get a brace. That's a good pick as well. Lawrence saying 2-0. Andrew says 2-1 full time. Extra time. 1-1 penalties. I don't understand that.
1-1 penalties?
Don't understand that, Andrew. Let me know more, mate. West Ham 2-0. Yarmolenko Suchek to score. Ray saying we need 2 minimum. We absolutely do. Neil saying 2-1 extra time and penalties. We win. Lanzini is loving life at West Ham.
I cannot deal with penalties. That will end me.
Yeah, you're right.
That will just end me. Right. I'll tell you what. If it does come down to penalties, we've got a right shout because we do actually happen to have quite a few very good penalty takers.
Oh no, but we'll always go for the sub again. You get the extra sub in extra time. He's always going to get up the 90th. 118th minute and be like, getting overlong.
Yeah, of course Noble comes on. He takes the first one. Just out of interest, I'd love to hear, Matt and Anton, who would be your 5?
I think it's penalties. I'll tell you what. Let me look who we got on. Yarmolenko.
Well, by the time it gets to penalties, Noble will be on the park.
Yes, absolutely. He'll be brought on in extra time to take it.
Lanzini.
So 100%. Noble, Rice, Lanzini.
I'm going to assume Fornals is gone, Antonio's gone, Benny's gone.
Dawson's really good at
Dawson's got a decent one.
Yeah.
Cresswell has.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, my 5, I think, has to be Noble first up. Got to get that first penalty put away. The order after that, I don't care. But Noble first. I think you have to have Lanzini, Souček. He's really good at pens. Cresswell, if he's still on the pitch, very good at pens. So Noble, Souček. Rice has got to take one. Dawson has shown he can really hit a pen. And you can go on after that. I think depending on who we do after extra time, you don't really know exactly who'll be on the pitch or who'll have been taken off. But if Benrahma's on the pitch, I would trust Benrahma to take a pen.
I love this comment. No, Moyes should show them the video of West Ham versus Eintracht Frankfurt in 1976 3-1. That'll inspire them for sure. Stan's agreeing with that as well. Adam Cook saying, good show, lads. It's doable 2-0. Bring on Noble to assist the winner. Does anyone know how many subs are allowed? Is it not 3 in normal time, 1 in extra time?
Is it 3 or is it 5?
Is it 5?
Do we not have 5 in the group stages?
Good question. I should have found that out. We need to find
Yeah,
that
I
out.
have to plead ignorance on that one, if I'm honest. I assumed
do
it
as
was
well.
3, but maybe I'm wrong.
Matt, can you do your research, mate? The Hazard says 2-1 extra time they score. I have a feeling. Andrew says, no way, this will be easy. Squeaky bum time for sure. I'd turn the telly off if it got to penalties. Noble to score the deciding one. You were thinking about the Frankfurt game earlier on. Creswell and Dawson. I don't want to see Rice take a penalty ever again. He's awful. Could be a good shout at the bookies. Quite on Noble winning penalty. Ludders Benrahma scored the winning penalty against City. Noble, Rice, Creswell, Dawson, Benny. There's the 5 penalty takers from Adam Cook. Manu, Noble, Rice, Cressy, Soucek.
Lanzini has to take one. Yeah. I think Lanzini has to take one. Does anybody see Lanzini missing the penalty? Really?
Well, don't be saying that, Tommy, yet.
If it's the same rules as the Champions League, it's 5 subs in normal time, and then 1 extra in added time if you go into it.
Yeah.
So you've potentially got 6 subs.
Well, listen, there you go. That brings an end to our preview. I've given everyone their predictions in. It's going to be a massive, massive day. Go to bed. Get yourself all sorted for the game tomorrow. Tommy, what are you going to say? Go for it. 2-0.
Just 2-0, boys. 2-0. Come on, you Irons.
2-0. We'll take that. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
3-0 up. See the late one, then squeaky bum time to the final whistle.
Oh, mate. Jesus.
Yeah, if we're 2-0 up, of course, it's 2-1 on aggregate, and you know Moyes is going to sit on it in the last 10 minutes, and they're going to just be piling on. And
that's when Noble comes on, Masuaku comes on, Fredericks comes on, Diop. You have like a back 9 and just Yarmolenko up front on his own.
I'm sorry, John, for making you nervous.
Whatever happens, look, you know we will not do it comfortably. You know we won't.
Yeah, you're right. You are right, mate. I'll do it quickly. Just one word answers then. Tommy, player you fear the most from Sevilla?
Looking at their lineup. Do you know what? He's not their best player, but I'm gonna say Martial because he has a nasty habit of scoring against us. He really does. Do you know what? Roshane mentioned it earlier, do you know? But I just fucking almost feel it. Like, if someone's going to score against us, you know it's going to be fucking Martial.
Yeah. I think I agree with you on that one. He's definitely the player I fear the most. Matt?
I'm going to go Rakitic.
Yeah, big-time player.
Quality.
Big-time player for Sevilla. Who is the one player they should fear the most, Tommy?
Oh, I think Lanzini. I think Lanzini's got that ability. He's got that vision. His passing is wonderful. The way he just knits everything together like a conductor in the middle of the field. Lanzini is a player who could split their defense open with a pass, or just do something that other attacking players around him just cannot do. He's just got that vision and that pass in him, and he could do something, either scoring himself with an outrageous curler or something, or just making that defense splitting pass with the outside of his boot or something. So I think Lanzini is going to be absolutely vital tomorrow. If Lanzini balls out tomorrow, that will go a long way to us getting the result we need. He's quality.
Absolutely. If you are watching, Joan has said, like this video, guys, for a West Ham win. Hit that thumbs up. Let us know you love the show. It does help our channel get into the bloody algorithm or whatever it is. Matt, West Ham player they fear the most?
Rice.
Deckers.
Yeah, and it will be that midfield battle, I think, between the two of them. And it will be who comes out on top. Up and coming youth or glorified world class experience. What's going to come out on top? That could decide it.
It'll be interesting to see how Rice plays tomorrow. Is he going to be told to do like in Seville, where he was obviously told, okay, you're just going to play defensive midfielder. You're not going to be charging forward so much, or is he going to be given free reign, as I would actually like to see? I would love to see Rice be told, look, you do your box to box thing. If you can drive down the middle. See, I wanted to say Rice, but I just feel like Moyes is going to ask him to just sit in again, and is going to let Souček do more of the forward stuff. I hope I'm wrong. If Rice was given free reign to drive forward with the ball and really attack their box, then I would have said Rice was the danger man for them. But I think because of the likes of Rakitic and Delaney in there, I think Moyes might actually leash him a little bit tomorrow and say, look, just be defensive tomorrow and just curtail the forward runs a little bit. We don't want us getting caught in behind. Yep. So that's why I think Lanzini might be the key tomorrow to unlocking them.
Yep. Absolutely, mate. Well, listen, thank you very much for watching, everyone. If you are new around here, please make sure you do go and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification. That will notify you when we do a show. Get behind West Ham tomorrow, wherever you are watching in the world. If you're going to the stadium, if you're watching from your home, who cares? We're all West Ham, and we're all wanting the same outcome, which is to get through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. What a moment for West Ham. What an opportunity for West Ham. And what a great time to be a West Ham fan. Tommy, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Matt, again, the usual. And to everyone out there, take it easy and come on, you Iron.